Welcome back to Dirty Shore Underground, everybody. Another bonus episode.
We got a full house here today.
Yeah, we did.
Special guest today.
We're
here with Corey.
Corey Baker! Corey Baker, everybody.
I've made a rare appearance to the shore. I felt, I felt a mysterious smell from the east. And I decided to...
It was probably Kenny.
Well, so, as always, this is a bonus episode coming to you after The Walking Dead.
Live.
We always start out with the spoiler alert. In this episode, we're going to be talking about The Walking Dead Season 6. Season 6, Episode 1. The previous 5 seasons of The Walking Dead. And we may throw in some Fear the Walking Dead references. So if you're not seeing any of that stuff, stop watching right now. Now, as always, your full episodes... So unprofessional.
Our vaping episode was a while ago.
So,
I'm just trying to live up to like how the Dirty Shore goes.
That's kind of how it is. So what we're doing today is a bonus episode, obviously. New episodes of this podcast every Thursday. Make sure you go to dirtyshoreunderground.com to get all those new episodes. Check us out on Stitcher, Dogcatcher, and iTunes. And when you go to iTunes, make sure you rate and review. Let us know what you like and what you don't like. You can find new episodes of our podcast, the The Anthem Podcast, at otheanthem.com. New episodes of that podcast every Tuesday. This is going to be an interesting week.
Yeah.
But every Tuesday you can find new episodes of our podcast, otheanthem.com, for more information. Colin's here again.
Colin Graves at Uncommon Gaming Streams on Facebook, Uncommon GS on Instagram and Twitter. Corey Baker.
Well, no, we'll go around. We'll do that.
Yeah.
otheanthem.com is where you find
it.
Stuff.
If you go to theanthem.com, you'll find me eventually.
And Karina is joining us once again. The lovely Karina is in the back. So, very first episode of Season 6 of The Walking Dead. Before we get into the details, let's say first impressions. Anybody?
I thought it was good.
I did as well.
There is a scale.
I could watch that show in black and white every single week.
It was, and I gotta say, at the beginning we were talking about it being in black and white, but I got used to it and I actually did like it.
Yeah.
But I would miss the gore if it's in black and white.
You see, but I think that like some things, like one of the first shots they had in black and white was Abraham when he was like doing the grave basically,
right?
And the contours on his face and the way it looked in black and white, I just thought was like really. I don't think the show has looked that good
since
in a
season
while.
1?
Yeah,
where it was in black and white previously. So
I don't think they've done black and white since season 1, and then this point. I mean, it was all, all colored for just they didn't have a reason, I guess.
I mean, just generally speaking, I thought the scope and the look of this episode was far and beyond what it had been.
And I think
the last couple seasons.
We've been talking about Fear the Walking Dead being a much more up close show where it's a lot of faces, it's a lot of objects in screen.
Personal.
Very personal
level, right up.
And The Walking Dead kicks it off by saying, by the way, this is a whole new animal. Look at this huge world that we're putting these people in.
Look at this huge pit of walkers.
Right. Roamers, I think they also... it was weird, again, still, to have people calling them something other than walkers.
Yeah. You know what? I always enjoyed that, though, because, if... it's almost like different dialects.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you ask for a soda across the country, like some people call it pop and some people call it Coke and some people call it soda, whatever.
Because you just develop different names. You see that
so
in the Walking Dead series as they come across different groups where, Rick asks the questions, how many walkers have you killed? And everyone kind of has a different reaction. Oh, you're talking about zombies. Right. Okay, walkers.
You're talking about the dead.
Yeah.
And I think it was weird because when they showed up to Alexandria, it was weird for them to hear the word walkers because that's not what they call them. Mm-hmm. But then now they've adopted our group's lingo. They call them walkers too. Mm-hmm. But then the new folks who we hadn't seen last year who showed back up at the beginning of the episode, they called them roamers, which is what Alexandria called them before. Yep. So it's very weird that they adopted the lingo of the incoming group, and then we now have these new people coming in using their former lingo, I guess. But it was also a little off-putting, because I just wanted to be like, I think I did say, who the fuck fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
You know, like, we didn't know who he was. He showed up and talked to Eugene, and then now he's saying, roamers? Listen, guy, you need to quiet down. Quiet down, you stranger.
Are you not part of our group? You're not talking the same way,
Right.
man.
So, later on in the episode, we did get to hear what I guess how the situation happened with them, where a group was camping out, and that's what started the walkers there. How much of a horrible place could you pick to camp out?
In the forest.
Well, not the forest I'll give you, because our guys have camped out in the forest, but let's go to a big pit where we will keep the walkers from coming in by blocking the road, because they only use the road.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll also be trapped here if something was to go down.
Well, the thing about that though is that there was the hill.
Right.
So like they were walking in on the hill, and then so many people I think going down the hill has caused it to sort of straighten out a bit.
Right, but
Like they've worn it down so much they can't get back up.
yeah, but
So
that means that there was a light hill there, and somebody said, "Let me camp out in the middle of this spot."
Yeah.
I think it goes to, we saw two moments of that. One, the quarry, and two, when in the black and white, when they were building the fence, the reaction of the townspeople to the zombies coming in. And I think we've gotten so used to our group being kind of kick-ass that it's weird to think about people who are not doing so well in this world.
They're the ones who are the zombies.
Well,
eventually, if not now, because they're not doing well.
Maybe that's why they never used the term.
Not even in the comics. You won't even
Yeah.
see it in the comics.
Actually, no, it did appear in the comics a couple times early on, and I was surprised. Did actually appear.
I don't remember.
I recently reading it did, and it took me by surprise, because the big thing was in The Walking Dead, you don't have the term zombies.
Right.
So when they said zombies, I was baffled, really, that, you know, with all these different words that they could have used, that from different dialects that we're talking about, that they use the word.
Yeah.
At some point, somebody's going to say the word zombies.
Well, and I know that the whole purpose of the universe is that they've never seen this before. They've never had pop culture that had zombies in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the one excuse I would give for that is that even if they didn't have zombie culture the way that we do, they did have, the Haitians, what is their voodoo?
Mm-hmm.
Voodoo has a zombie. West African nations who have the precursor to voodoo have zombies. So I think it's an excuse that I'm going to make on behalf of Robert Kirkman to say that even if there wasn't zombie culture, there's still the idea and the word may exist, but they don't call it that because it's not widespread.
Well, I'm just going to say, we might have just heard the Z word.
Right.
You can't say it. You can't say that word. It's a bad word. It's the Z word.
So we saw a little bit of some new faces.
Yep.
Any reactions to the new faces?
I couldn't help but laugh when Eugene was at the gate. And just let me in.
Well,
thank you, sir.
That guy thought it was funny. It was just like, oh shit, Booker T's on this show.
But I think that it's weird because to be introduced to new people in that way, and no one ever make a reference to like, I think the guy's name was Heath. Where's Heath?
Yeah.
And nobody said anything. We've been in Alexandria for how long now, and these people just show up, but they apparently belong there. And Eugene greets them in his typical semi-autistic, weird way, and then
He's on the spectrum.
yeah, and then
He's super smart.
that little give me that like you think it's all done, and he's like, yo, game recognized game.
Yeah.
With the hair. Absolutely
Hair
ridiculous.
game. Hashtag hair game.
Yeah, and Hardwick wants to get that started.
It probably is now. That's the bad thing.
Mother Dick was a thing last year. One reference I just wanted to make too is that the last thing we saw on Fear the Walking Dead was Daniel leading a herd of zombies to try and get away.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing we see this season is them leading a herd of zombies to get the zombies away. And I'm sure that they planned that out. But any thoughts about that dichotomy between the two?
I liked it more with The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Because, it wasn't to try to save somebody. Well, it is, because they were trying to get them away from the town.
Right.
But that was a shitload of zombies compared to what we seen on Fear the Walking Dead.
And my one thought kept going to, like, look how much work they put in to getting the zombies there, and Daniel's just walking and flipping a flashlight, and that gets them to follow him. Like, I think it puts it in a weird perspective to think about the previous episode. So, but how about as a modus operandi, getting the zombies out and walking them away? Good idea, bad idea?
Yeah, kind of picking up where you left off. You're switching series, of course, but it's still The Walking Dead.
Right.
So if you end with the big herd of zombies coming in, it's kind of funny that they put a big herd of zombies at the beginning. It flows really well between the series.
Right.
And of course, they had to get screwed up.
Well, I was gonna say, first of all, there's no way that plane goes off without a hitch. Anyway, but good plan, bad plan, moving the herd of zombies. I mean, like, I understand why they had to, but we saw a heavy machinery garage. Couldn't you just have put more heavy machinery in the way and kept a view on it, or you kept track of it?
I think no matter what, you're gonna find yourself like having to deal with that at some point.
Right.
And it's almost better to take care of it now while you still have somewhat of an upper hand than take care of it when they're all hitting the palace walls at the same time,
Also,
Which they're getting ready to do.
well, I was gonna say, did anybody ever have that, like, let's find some kerosene bottles and
I did
throw
think
them in
about
there?
that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that every time they showed the quarry. I'm like,
Throw Molotov cocktails in there or something
Yeah.
like that.
Because what we've also seen is that, again, the reason I love these being on back-to-back weeks is how fresh everybody looked in Fear the Walking Dead, and we are the complete
I
opposite
said the
of that
same
now.
thing.
Yeah.
I said I got used to them looking like,
People.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh face.
Although if it was the beginning of season 4 or 5, where they start in Alexandria, where they have running water and showers.
Yeah.
If you saw Rick with his beard again.
No, wait. We're talking about the zombies. The zombies look fresh.
Oh,
in Fear the Walking Dead. 'Cause
okay.
It's, the
That's
very
very
first
different.
one we see is the girl who just recently turned eating the other guy in the church, and she looks like crazy eyes, and she's got blood in her mouth, but otherwise she's totally normal.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying now.
And then now we go to the guy who is like already peeling, and then ripped
that
off
guy, that was my favorite zombie of the night.
Yeah.
Where his skin just ripped off while he was trying to get through it.
Yeah.
And
Also,
Greg
the ribcage
Nicotero
guy out at the end as well.
The only thing I could think is that there are two kinds of people: the ones that see shit like that, like, oh, and I'm the other type that's like, get him in the eye, like, let's do it.
Greg did good work on that.
Yeah, and I get it's got to be getting more difficult. We watched a little bit of The Talking Dead after, and he was talking about how to get a herd that big, you just have to let some of the details go. And so we spray paint everybody to give them the right color, and then you only can do that detail work because when they're fresh, Fear the Walking Dead, it's easy. A little bit of head makeup, some wounds, but otherwise you're fine. This far in, they've done such a great job of saying it's been 3 years. This is what a body looks like when it decays that far.
Right.
So that begs an interesting question. If we're walking down that path, then eventually the body's going to not hold itself together anymore. Will there just be a time where it's not a problem anymore?
Like it's just walking skeletons, basically?
Has anybody actually read the book World War Z? Not the movie, but read the book.
No.
So one of the ways that they get a handle on it is, and it's actually used in 28 Days Later as well, where they have the zombie in the courtyard, and he's trying to starve him to death. And he wants to find out how long, starve him to death, but it wants to find out how long it takes for them to die. And at the end of World War Z, one thing they talk about is that, we say that we got a handle on it, but really, it got a handle on us. Because eventually, the zombies just started falling apart, and it became easier for them to kill. And does that give us a 0 hour on The Walking Dead? Like, it's going to reach a point where the knee joints on every zombie just fall apart, and they're laying on the ground. And then, and you just hit them in the head.
That's when they start crawling with their arms.
Well, in season 1, we saw the bite girl, who just did that. He was like crawling towards him without half of it.
That's a lot less. If a herd of zombies walking around is if they're all crawling around.
Like I said, Morgan's stick in the back of the skull as he walks, and that's it.
See, but I have to imagine that at some point there's some sort of like evolution that happens here.
Okay.
like
what?
zombies that like do something, walkers that do something.
Are you saying like Left 4 Dead special infected style?
Where
No,
they
no,
evolve
like-
and blow up.
Probably
Yeah.
like Land of the Dead when
maybe-
they started getting fast and shit.
Well, and
Maybe
Dawn
if
of
they
the
do,
Dead too.
maybe if they do get starved out, they start losing, like decomposing in the joints and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the ones who continue to feed are the ones that are stronger and more.
That's what I've always thought.
That the
If
ones who
they're
are
eating, maybe it's still keep them somewhat generated, even though
Yeah.
my skin's decomposing all the hell.
I mean, it's if I stop eating, then in
Well, and I guess
2.5 months I'll be skinny, I guess.
there's a limited amount of fresh zombies too, because some people do turn and they don't get a chance to euthanize them. See what I did there? They don't get a chance to euthanize them, so they pass. Or so they turn into zombies themselves. But speaking of Ethan, to transition myself, Ethan Embry, one of my favorite actors, despite the fact that I always see him as the guy from Can't Hardly Wait. He'll always be that guy to me. But Carter, any thoughts about Carter's passing? Are you happy about it? Sad about it? What is it?
I just noticed that, you remember how when we talked about Fear of the Walking Dead, how they had to sever the brain?
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Which he didn't pick up initially.
No, I thought he broke his neck.
Yeah.
But
No, he stabbed him.
yeah, we saw
went
the
through it. They
second side.
they showed it again as well.
Then you had Michonne and Morgan sitting there kind of conflicted about the whole thing for...
Well, and
They
so-
know.
Well, here's the thing.
They know.
There were people who could have been there who were worse to be there.
Mhm.
Both Morgan and Michonne are like, gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, some of the
I thought
other
it was a
townspeople, some of the other townspeople there might have been like, what the fuck, man? He's still alive. We know we can't save him. We know there's no stopping the turning, and now he's ruining the plan because he can't.
It's not
shut
like
his
they
fucking
can cut off his head and he'll still live, like they did with the
Yeah.
I thought he was
Her
going to try to cut
shoulder.
the cheek off for a
mouth.
minute.
Light it out.
Well, no, they got. Yeah, he got bit on the side of the
side of the
face. Yeah.
But it's was it a good thing that he died? I mean, listen, I
think
There's a
Rick should have
message.
just shot him right.
but the gunshot's gonna draw more zombies.
Yeah, that.
Oh, I know, but I mean, like,
Yeah, that was.
I was fine with him going earlier than that, you know?
Oh, you meant you wanted to shoot him
Yeah,
earlier in the
yeah,
town.
like
During the flashback scene when Eugene
Eugene,
called him
yeah.
saying he
Yeah.
wants to kill Rick and take back the...
By the way, no stealth from Eugene there. This is like the most clumsy person ever.
But
Worst ninja ever.
it furthers my theory that he's on the spectrum because it just in an awkwardness and an inability. If the camera was supposed to be him listening in, he basically was leaning into the room
Yeah.
several times so
like
that
a-
we could see.
Dishonored or so. One of the things that you can lean around corners in that game, but you can lean around the corner and your body is still technically there behind the cover, and you can lean out so like the cover's not visible.
Right.
The guard is walking towards you in like daylight, but they don't see you.
Right.
On higher difficulties, on like the hardest difficulty, I think they do program to see on that, but on I usually play on normal, so I could lean out of corners and like, oh, there's a guard there, kind of back away because like he's gonna find me if he walks around.
Well, and when there were people looking, I mean, Ethan, I keep calling him Ethan, but Carter
Yeah.
was looking kind of away, but there were people leaned up, looking directly at the doorway.
Yeah.
And nobody saw him.
I mean, what would have made most sense is if there was a mirror there so he could
so
see
you
it
could
from.
see in, yeah, and nobody would notice
Yeah,
it.
he could be behind the door and still
But-
see people and Carter off the mirror.
But who could have? I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, all right, so he's gonna bump that rack full of dishes, and everybody's gonna hear him. Instead, he drops the jam and then
Yeah.
bumps into the thing.
Gets himself some.
But Carter, I'm gonna cut you off right there. Carter was an asshole, but I think that there is room for assholes in this universe. What there's not room for is pussies, and Carter proved himself in one of the flashbacks to just be a fucking pussy.
Yeah.
The one guy didn't even pick up a weapon. He was just like kicking the zombie.
Well, the one boy did step up. The one that tried to kill Lynn at the end of last season.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would like to say this. I thought there were a ton of great lines on this week's episode.
There were.
There was a lot of good laughs I had.
Point
Like
liners.
when the priest was like, I'll do something. It's like
You
anybody else.
He's like,
no,
No.
anybody else.
But and I mean that comes into, I don't know. Again, you said you didn't catch the last couple episodes, but did you see Father Gabriel have his breakdown last season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tearing
the Bible and then
Yeah.
walking out to the zombie and pulling his head off.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've learned about taking crazy people with us. We don't take crazy people out in the world. We leave them at home, and that's, I mean, he's back with the collar and everything. No, you stay here. We don't have any time for your bullshit. The one guy did step up. The one guy and Glenn and him, my one comment was, can't hold grudges in this world. Like, Glenn was just seriously like, okay, yesterday you tried to kill me. You tried to leave me for dead. I almost left you for dead, but then we saved each other and got back. And now I'm going to trust you with this fucking whole thing that we're doing.
Because I know I need you to survive
Right.
for myself,
Right.
and the community does need us. You know, I don't have time to hate you.
Right.
Because if I hate you,
We'll
I will
settle
miss
this
the
later.
zombie at my ankles.
Well, and so, I mean, but that guy's an asshole. But we've learned that this world needs assholes.
I mean, the governor is an asshole.
Right.
All of the leaders of these towns are assholes.
But so then that begs the question, why did we feel so good about Carter getting it in the end? And I said, as soon as he turned to walk away, I'm like, he's going to fucking get it right now. And then Hand came out, and I'm like, God, Kirkman, you and I were on the same level. But yeah, so why did it feel so good for Carter to die?
There was nothing likable about him.
Yeah.
Although they didn't give him a chance to
He
be
tried to
likable
stand
either.
up against Rick. That already fucked him up from the beginning.
Well, and that was the, on The Talking Dead, the in memorandum, the thing was, you threaten our favorite,
Threaten our favorite mullet.
mullet, you gotta go. But,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's, I like assholes. I mean,
I get. You know what? I guess I'm fine with assholes as long as they produce.
and he did
Like,
produce.
yeah.
So. What, same thing with the salesman from Fear the Walking Dead. Totally a dick, but he's got his shit together, and he's like, don't take the freeway, don't take the side streets, let's take the river, we're going to my house, we're ready to go.
It doesn't really seem
You
like
wanna
it.
know
He
what
has
I
his
wanna
shit
know?
together.
But he said...
There's an
I
air
need you
of
for distraction.
coldness.
Well, yeah, their air of coldness, yeah.
Why was Morgan so worried about his protein bar?
I think it was, there was a lot unfinished between him and Michonne, and he wanted to, like, quash the beef. Like, just so you know, everything's cool between us. So that's why they're standing there, there's a moment of silence, and he says, I got you in my house. And she is, of course, worried that he's gonna say, like, something big, and he's like, did you take my last peanut butter protein bar? And she smiles. That's because they're releasing the tension. Today was a lot of getting rid of tension from the humans and putting it back on the zombies.
Okay, what did I miss? What happened between Michonne and Morgan?
Well, he had the booby trap house set up, right? And she went in there and undid all his booby traps. If I remember, that's how they got out. I think that's correct. I can go back, but I know that there's been some beef between them before, and she was where Rick is kind of a like, welcome back, brother, even though I just shot this perfectly healthy guy in the head. But besides that, besides that, welcome back, good to see you. But Michonne was cold to him, and I think Rick thought that she wants to warm up to him, but she thinks there's this thing hanging over their head. When Rick and Morgan are on the porch, she comes to the door but doesn't come out. Like, she comes and sees them and then turns around and goes back. So there was something there. This was their way of, like, quashing anything that was still there. So
I like how Carol's still trying to play the I don't know shit, the whole thing, and then Morgan in the flashback, Morgan walks up and he's like, "You're always ready." I can tell.
yeah. And I was gonna say, it's funny for us. I mean, I'm sure that if you lived in that world and you didn't know Carol before, you'd just be like, "Oh, this sweet old woman," or older woman. Sorry, not older woman. But instead, we know that she is like a cold-blooded, like, went out, got the watch, brought it back, like, fucking badass woman. But she's playing Susie Homemaker.
You know, if you're not careful, she's going to start gardening, make a bunch of flowers, and have the whole town look at them.
Yeah. But then, so, go ahead.
I was gonna say we're on the first episode,
Mhm.
so we gotta sort of talk about like what's ahead kind of thing.
What are thoughts from before? Number one,
Who blares the
question.
horn?
Number one question of the day is who blares the horn. So, I mean, my vote is automatically for Wolves. I actually thought that the quarry was set up by the wolves, the way that they had set up the trap for Aaron and
yeah, I was thinking that at first.
Daryl before. And because it seems like the kind of thing of like, get them all together and then we'll release them all towards the town. Because I think the one thing that we know about the wolves is they like Herschel, like to kind of keep. Herschel wanted them to cure them, but the wolves like to keep them to use for props or weapons or whatever else. So that was my first thought. And so then that didn't work out, and now they are. Again, I haven't read the comics, so I'm only kind of like trying to figure this.
Yeah, the comics aren't really. Yeah, none of this really feels like it was in the comics.
No, the wolves are in the grouping of comics, but they're in the comic series.
I don't think they were called the wolves in that. There was another group.
Yeah,
Well,
unless it's further along, because I
don't-
believe the wolves are part of Negan's group.
Negan, yeah.
He's
Negan's
going to be the next huge bad guy.
And really hoping that John Hamm didn't get cast as Negan. I think that would be.
I think in the mid-season finale we'll probably see Negan.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're gonna wait till the end.
Well, it's not
of
the
season.
Yeah, this is the mid-season. That's right. Yeah, well, first 6 or first 8, and then take a break. But no, so I think the wolves are clearly on the horn. Everybody left town. Everybody's doing this thing, and then somebody.
Everybody that knew how to do anything was out of town.
Yeah. Any thoughts? Who set up?
Well, except for Carl.
Well, Carl.
He did have the gun.
Yeah.
In the preview, so.
We'll I guess the question is, who dies this half season?
Well, don't skip over who do you think's on the horn. Is it somebody?
No, I
from
mean the
town?
wolves seem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because the other thing is, the Roy does not like Rick. I mean, he is not a fan of Rick.
Right.
And maybe he, in the teenage way, is thinking, I'm going to ruin Rick's plan, not thinking that, oh, I'm also drawing a whole horde of zombies towards my house.
Or, I mean, it could be, what's her face?
What's her face?
The mayor?
Yeah.
It could be Deanna. But I feel like she got on board with Rick real quick. She was just like, okay, we...
Yeah, but I mean, there's also, like, an aspect of, like, maybe this fucks up the whole plan, and Rick dies. And we're safe. We're in the...
True, most of the people outside were Rick's group.
I do hope Rick loses his hand this season.
I don't think he's going to do it.
You don't think so?
No, because I think it was easy.
Too far along.
Well, it was easy for Herschel to lose his leg because you can edit that out. Having Andrew,
you can have him with like a green sock over his leg,
and as long as he's on the thing. But shooting somebody without a hand is a lot of work, and it's a lot of post production too.
Yeah.
To take the hand out all the time, and I think that was probably their decision.
Unless they
in the
do a
first
Merle
place.
with it.
Well, give him a fake hand.
This is actually
inside.
That's actually true when we said it, because Merle lost his hand.
But every time we saw Merle after that, he was wearing a cup on his hand.
Which made it
so, but I think in the comics though, Rick just loses his hand and like rocks a nub, right?
The governor cut it off.
Yeah.
Rocks a nub.
Yeah, he just like rocks a nub.
Like a corgi, it rocks a nub.
I think that it's
Some corgis have long
it would just be too much.
Oh, I know.
And so much has happened since the governor that it's like maybe Negan does it now if he's the next bad guy to come, but I think Rick stays 100% Rick. I did like Corey's comment during the show that weird that he has all those cuts on his faces, but no bruises.
Yeah.
That fight, there was some trading of blows, and the cuts aren't healed, but the bruises are all healed. Just it was weird, but
yeah, and it doesn't seem like any of this was in the books.
Yeah.
Towards the end, maybe we'll get on towards part of it, but I think
they have to change things up to a point that otherwise, if it was just like the comic,
or they're just waiting, or they're just going to extend Alexandria just a little bit more, and then have stuff happen towards the end of the book. We're going to end up seeing, because what happens at the end of the second big book that we have, that there's more world.
Well, so there's the next question is, do they stay in Alexandria for the whole season?
No, because when have they stayed anywhere for a whole season?
And that was
I think Alexandria is about to be done.
Is it the Horde? Is that the end of it?
I think it's about to be done.
Okay.
I think they're going to end up running it down.
There's almost a compelling... You almost think that at a certain point, there's going to be so many walkers that, like, just that last shot they had of the whole episode with, like, just, like, thousands of walkers, like, all from that helicopter crane type shot.
Yeah.
Like,
Helicopter.
Yeah.
I mean, you basically have to think that they're going to... I mean, sort of my plan, if Alexandria is going to fall one way or the other,
right,
and you can't live there, you might as well just open the gate, let them all go in, and then, like, set fire to the place. Like,
lock it up and torch it. But
like,
you could have done that while they were in the quarry and get
right,
the house,
yeah.
You know? Why did that not come... Nobody thought about that. Like, just burn them while they're in there. And, I mean, it wouldn't... The fire won't kill them, obviously. But it'll rot the body away. Yeah, and they won't be walking around. And it'll probably draw attention from other zombies and get them all in the bonfire. So...
Or they could have just burned them and then, like, gone through with one of the, like... threshers or something like that.
That the one girl was
combines.
Yeah. So I want to go back to something you said earlier, which is that there was a lot of good writing, and there was a lot of good one-offs here. One thing I wasn't a fan of though was the scene with Rick and Carter and Eugene, because what happened was Carter's on his knees, Rick's got the gun to his head, and Daryl says, "Rick," and then he pulls the gun away. And I think that made Rick look a little crazy. Like, he might actually shoot him, and I didn't think he had any intention on shooting him. Mm-hmm. It was just, if they had just cut that out, that's, if I could say, there's one thing I didn't like, it was that.
See, I have to disagree, because that one little bit where, like, Rick was going to hold it there, like, if you put yourself in the room watching him do it,
right,
you're almost like, the longer you're drawing this out, the more of, like, a sick pleasure you're getting out of, like...
torturing him.
Yeah, I mean, like... It's just like if I was holding a gun to your head, you'd be wondering at what point am I going to pull it.
Right.
Like if I just keep talking to you, I'm just like, you must feel real happy about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, what else do you want me to say at a point? Like, when are you going to actually pull the trigger?
Right.
Yeah, can there be an in-between point where he's holding a gun to your head and not getting anywhere, and he kind of does an extra move, not his intention to shoot, just to say, "Hi, I still have this gun in your face." And maybe that's the moment
he pulled the hammer back.
No, but he did that. He stepped back a little bit, and then he moved up and pressed it against his head. And after a tick or two, that's when Daryl said, "Rick," and got him to stop doing it. But I didn't like it because I don't think Rick was going to shoot him. He wanted to scare him, and it made Rick look a little crazier than he actually is. And
which could be a good thing.
So if he hadn't held up there...
Because you've read the comics, I'm waiting for that fucking phone to show up again and him be talking on it.
It's crazy. And I mean,
remember when they first got to Alexandria, he had the damn phone and he was talking to his wife on it.
Craziness.
What in
the comics?
Okay, because there were multiple points where the phone's gone. It might be another one-off, but that would definitely be an heir to the comics. But yeah, I think my thoughts on that scene were, I think there's a step where you're holding a gun to the head, then you're going to go and threaten more. So you say he holds it there for a tick or two.
Yeah.
So maybe he's only going to hold it there for 4 ticks. And Daryl said something, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that...
Yeah, but see, again, my comment is not how it looked, because it's fine that it looked great. It was that if I was the writer, I would have taken that out. Because I think you want Rick to always be in control, and Rick is the leader of this thing. And when Daryl calls him off, I think that erodes... I mean, there's also 3 people sitting there who you're supposed to be winning over. And when Daryl calls him off...
Because there's a secret meeting to save the town from Rick, right?
Yeah. So, one, I guess, good question we need to get to before we wrap up is we saw Carter die, but Carter we just met. So he's not so important. And we were talking before, and you were like, somebody's going to die today. And they did. And Ethan Embry is a fantastic actor, and I'm sad to see him go. But who's going to be the first of our beloved characters to die this season?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's beloved, but I think Gabriel's going to get it at some point.
Okay.
Like one of our previous characters, you can say Gabriel.
Yeah. What makes you think Gabriel?
I mean, it's just sort of setting up, I feel, for a moment. I mean, over the course of the season, it's got to move towards that.
Why?
Because there's sort of like an undertone of faith in Alexandria. And like everyone who's there is just like, we're good. We don't need guns. We got this covered. we've been doing fine without you. We don't know why you have to come in here and take over and militarize our peaceful little community, which has really been a utopia compared to everywhere else in the world.
What?
And there's been a part of him losing it. And I think there's going to be a moment where he finally loses it when faith is completely shot in Alexandria.
Well, I think that if that is the case, there will be a moment where Rick has a chance to save him and chooses not to.
Yeah.
And just lets him go to the Horde. Just because of the way Rick's just disdain for him overall is incredible. So, thoughts? Who's the first character? Of our beloved characters. Anybody?
No, I would say, I hope it's, what did I tell you earlier?
No.
Or girl, goddammit.
Carol?
Carol. Yeah,
Oh,
I hope it's Carol. I don't like Carol.
You're the one person in the world who wants Carol to die.
I don't like Carol. I don't know what to tell you.
You watched all of The Walking Dead, right?
Yeah.
So you're bouncing on. Okay.
Yeah. And
I didn't like
doesn't
her
like
from the beginning, though.
Yeah. Here's why Corey doesn't like her, because she's got short hair, and Corey's got a thing about it. So,
And it never grows.
and her hair never grows out. It stays the same length.
Rick's beard got like full on CZ top, and she's still like
It's the continuity errors.
she's still like Florence Henderson.
Maybe she's bald and she's just rocking a wig and nobody knows. It
Oh,
just stays
no
on.
shit, cancer.
The actress is fighting breast
Don't hope
cancer.
for
You
her to
dick.
have
No, I'm just saying.
I goddamn hope it's cancer.
So, Corinne, who do you think first character?
I'm wondering if it'll be Eugene.
Is there a reason for that?
Because he's not going to really be protected. I mean, he's still part of their group, but it's not like they're protecting him anymore.
Well, and I will say that the one thing I would think along those lines are all of his protectors are out. They're on the outside right now.
They're also going to be busy saving themselves.
Well, that's true too.
And the baby and
But
Carl.
they're on the outside of the fence, and the only people who are inside right now are Carol,
Carl.
Carl,
baby.
Carl and Carol and the baby, and then all the other characters from our group are outside the fence right now. And those people in town don't give a shit about Eugene, you know. And both Carol and Carl are going to be taking care of Judith and getting Judith out of there. So it might be the first one. It's a good call though. I like that. Go ahead.
I'm going to say Carl.
You don't like Carl?
No, I think Carl is definitely a fine character, but I think they're in for a real fight with this zombie herd and the horn.
Yeah.
And I'm interested. I want to see what the next. I'm thinking that the herd is going to arrive at Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
Next episode, big fight.
Yeah.
Episode, the next episode from now.
Well, and some thoughts on those three of those suggestions are they may already be dead. If the wolves came into town and the horn is blaring, it may be because everybody in the town's dead already.
So, because my first thought is the preview, as you're watching the credits and you have Carl, Carol talking to each other and about to run out.
Yeah.
Well, maybe both those events are happening at the same time.
Yeah.
I have wondered, just sort of, I haven't really talked about this, but don't you think Judith has to die at some point?
No, I think
She
that
should've.
she would, in the real world, she would have been dead long ago.
Oh, I know, but
She
I'm
was
saying,
supposed to die when the little girl died.
I mean, this world, this show isn't going to be on for 20 seasons.
No.
So we're never going to get to a satisfying point where 18 years from now,
don't
Judith...
blaspheme.
What?
Don't blaspheme, because maybe it will be on.
It'll be the next
20 years.
Simpsons.
It'll be MASH.
No, but we're not gonna be at the point where Judith has to
grow up
and do or meet somebody and try and repopulate or whatever.
Judith is 6 or 7.
Judith is the hope for the world.
Right, and I think that's why they'll keep her, because they always look at her and they think we need to keep going for her, that she's the future and all those things. But I think also that that they will at some point can do a move forward in time, like 2 or 3 years, and then we just have a walking, talking child. Basically like the kids from the farm, where they're a little young.
Yeah. Then we get into the realm of child actors. So
well, that's a whole other.
Yeah. So I'm gonna vote for Carl.
Carl, go ahead.
First half of the season, thinking we'll probably lose Gabriel.
Yeah.
We may lose Eugene for the big season finale, and I'm gonna try to call this and see if I get it right. I think it'll be Glenn.
God damn it. Stole mine.
Yeah.
I'm going with Glenn too. We've seen him and Maggie get through so much, and they're obviously so close. They're still very in love and all that stuff. And that just is like Robert Kirkman offering up a sacrifice that one of them, either Glenn or Maggie, is going to be dead.
Well, it's like that.
I did love his line tonight though. I'm supposed to be delivering pizzas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not even supposed to be doing this now. Yo, I'm supposed to be delivering pizzas now, alright? But I think that Glenn is my go-to because he's the one who's outside more often. But I'm not 100% sure that Maggie is safe with Deanna. I don't know that if shit hit the fan that Deanna wouldn't kill her or sacrifice her in order to escape
Pull a
herself.
Shane.
Basically, pull a Shane, yeah. So, but I guess we are very early in. Any final thoughts on your favorite moments from the episode?
There was a lot of good moments.
And I've missed The Walking Dead. It's good to see that.
Yeah.
So.
Honestly, the whole Eugene thing with the hair game.
Yeah.
that another good one. Whenever going to they were at that truck place.
Okay, yeah.
So they could quiet the zombies up.
Oh yeah.
And they were all sitting there stressing to get this door open, and they open it, and the
Steel doors up.
Yeah. That had me laughing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Was it the zombies that pushed the tractor trailer over?
No, the well, yeah, they
ground
hit it
gave
and the
out.
ground gave out.
Okay.
So they were probably pushing it, and the ground gave out underneath it. So
Okay.
because Rick later says we need to act quickly because one good rain and that truck's gonna move.
Yeah.
So. And then it's weird because it's one of those Tarantino out of order things where we saw the truck fail and then had him talk about it after. So anybody else interesting moments?
I would say that I was happy that all sort of happened in the episode.
Yeah. Rather than
Because like when they did the cold open, I thought that it was going to be that sort of like flashing forward to the very end of the season.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're gonna get to that point.
Breaking Bad with the pool.
Yeah. Because it seemed like
for that reference.
Yeah, I know.
the end of the 5th season was basically just like, like nothing was on that scope that I've seen. That many zombies in one place at one time.
Yeah.
Like there hasn't really, other than like Atlanta, in the first season.
Yeah.
I mean, like there hasn't been that many zombies like grouped together.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe it's good that we had for The Walking Dead because maybe that upped the ante, and then they were like, "Oh shit! Well, that's a great idea. Let's find a way to do that ourselves." So, did you watch Fear the Walking Dead?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I hadn't. I missed the first episode, and then I never like caught up on it. And then by the time I was finally like, "All right, I'm ready to do this," I was like 5 episodes late, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait until
The Walking Dead.
it's like on Netflix, and I'll just binge it, and it doesn't seem to be.
Do you think
like,
they'll put a 6, like if they, if they stay at 6 episodes for Fear the Walking Dead, do you think they would put it on Netflix as just 6 episodes?
I mean, I would guess that they probably would, but AMC will run it before the next episode starts anyway.
But I mean, I think. Oh, excuse me. I think the Fear of the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead being on Netflix has been such a huge thing for The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Just in general, because like if you put it on 3 weeks before the season comes back on, then people binge.
It's what did it come out? Because I had to finish season 5 of The Walking Dead.
It came out the last week of August.
Yeah.
No, it did not. It did not because it came out. No, it came out on Netflix because we talked about it and it wasn't out. And before last week's episode, I think it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was new episodes of The Walking Dead on Netflix, and I finished the last 4 episodes of season 5 so that I could go into our podcast last week with the knowledge.
Right.
I think if more TV shows are smart, they do it this way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've never been able to catch up on The Good Wife because I got to order Netflix. I mean, I'm just saying, like I like that show, I like Josh Charles and stuff.
Yeah, it's a very good show.
And I would get the disc from Netflix, but they wouldn't release them until the next season has already started.
Well, it was the same
so
thing.
So like, I could never watch it. I
Yeah.
could never catch up and start watching it live because I was always behind.
Yeah, it was when I first started watching The Walking Dead. I watched 1, 2, 3, the week it was a week before, or like a couple days before season 5 came out, that they put season 4 on Netflix, and I was just like, 1, 2, 3, oh, 4's out.
Yeah.
And then
Already
halfway,
behind
and then, I got halfway through on 5 because I was lifing. And I was just able to finish the Walking Dead, the season 5, because of the same system.
Right. So anyway, any more final thoughts on on what we saw today?
Definitely promising.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I was glued to it the whole time, so.
I just missed The Walking Dead, and I'm glad that it's back.
There's gonna be some huge shit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is more of a action season.
Yeah.
You know, what was it? Terminus was
That was
like the March to Terminus was 3, right?
Yeah.
No, the March to
4.
Terminus was end of 4.
Right.
Terminus was 5.
The first
Beginning
part
of
of
5.
5, yeah.
Yeah. So like when I remember the season opener for 4, I guess, was like so exciting and so much stuff was happening. It was just constantly like, oh shit.
Well, that was
shit.
that
Like,
was
and
the
then-
jail. They escaped from the jail.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was just like nothing. It was like so boring and so long until Terminus.
Just living in the jail. Yeah.
And I was just like, ooh, like this is hard to. And I had the same thing with the second season on the farm and stuff like that. I was just like, it went from action all the time to so slow for so long.
When I think that's where we're going now, and I said that before, that it's all about feeling safe. They were safe at the farm, safety goes away. Think Terminus is safe, that goes away. They're safe at the jail, that goes away. We know Alexandria is going to fall. We know that they're going to have to go on the road again. We love them on the road, and it feels like this little set may be on the road.
Do you think they make the journey to DC?
But that would be. I mean,
they're right there.
I think that my guess is that they are going to go and just see. We've already learned that the CDC ain't the place to go.
Yeah.
So from way back in season 2.
But I'm sure they also know to just stay away from cities.
That's
just
true
in-
too. And
just
how do they get in there? But I mean, at the other token, we don't know what it's like now. We've seen in Fear the Walking Dead, we saw when it broke down. Season 1, we saw Atlanta, but since then we haven't really had contact with a major city yet. So it may be that the walkers all wander out of the city and the city's fine.
Yeah, because when they went to try to save Beth from the hospital and Carol in season 5, they were able to get around pretty easily.
There were walkers, but it was not like it wasn't like Rick in season 1. And it wasn't like Fear the Walking Dead.
There's where all these zombies came from.
There you go.
All these zombies that we see in this one migrated out of the city.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like White Flight.
I think
they can swim. They swim across the Potomac.
They gotta find food somewhere.
I think they do make it for DC though, and the question's going to be what happens after that. And you have seen the comics, don't ruin it. So
they don't.
It stops it out.
Yeah, that's all right. I just don't want to know.
We'll let you know once the comics are actually done, and we'll give you those books.
Yeah. All right. So as always, you're listening to the Dirty Shore Underground. You can find us online at dirtyshoreunderground.com. New episodes every Thursday with bonus episodes for the Fear the Walking Dead series, and now first episode of The Walking Dead. Where can everybody find you online?
Colin Graves at Uncommon Gaming Streams on Facebook, Uncommon GS on Instagram and Twitter.
Where can people find you online?
My personal stuff is all at LegendsCB5, Twitter, Facebook. And then The Anthem, theanthem.com, Corey at theanthem.com, The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, and the listener line.
Can we comment on the listener line? Can I do the number again?
Do I do?
I don't know.
Then how can you do the gag part?
No, your part.
443
219 7595.
What's that number again?
443 219 7595.
No, thank you.
And keep in mind, check out theanthem.com. New episodes of that podcast every Tuesday. And you make sure you like and subscribe so that you get all the episodes in your inbox up first. You can find me online at all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com for links to a dead drop, to my political blog, and links so you can buy my books on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
And a big,
I think she gave up.
Yeah, I think she probably has given up. So no reaction for Karina. Just those evil eyes. But yeah, so make sure you check out robertandcheek.com for all the latest updates.
If you write down her blinking, it says "Buy Rob's Books" in Morse code.
Dirty Short UG on Facebook and Twitter. YouTube is youtube.com/C/Dirty Short UG -OTA.
And make sure that you do follow Dirty Short UG on Facebook and Twitter. Follow all of us because, as always, we are live streaming this podcast. And you can come in and join in and comment. I know we're doing a little late tonight, but for the most part, you can come in and comment and participate in the conversation and be part of the podcast right here live. So make sure you keep an eye out for the links for that. So if we don't have anything else, it's been a pleasure, everybody. We thoroughly enjoyed the Walking Dead Season 1. Make sure you keep watching Dirty Show Underground. Episode 1.
Yeah.
Getting
I
late.
did that shit last week.
6-1. 6-1.
Yeah, The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 1. Make sure you keep track with Dirty Shore UG so you get all the updates on everything happening in our world and in The Walking Dead. Yes. So, other than that, have a great week, everybody.
We're going to be shambling off to our beds.
Some of you will.
Yes.
I like having the last line. It's the last.